Okay, so it always like there's this weird delay, so then I'm like not sure if it's working, but it's counting, so I think we hit it. There's like 3 people waiting. One of them is me. So I don't know if we should like wait for, it is the trickle up. Should we wait for more people to trickle in before I jump into the segment? Let's see. Yeah, Carnage is like out of town. So like we won't see Carnage.
She mentioned that.
Yeah, normally we see Carnage.
Which is kind of sad, actually.
I know.
Like, Carnage is like a nice presence. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like,
yeah, she would have been epic in her takes on like the Mute the Media's all-female panel last night. So Ron's here. Haven't seen Ron in a hot minute.
Let's go ahead and open up, and we can just chill in there with a few people like we got, and just kind
of. Okay. We don't have our names displayed, and I don't know why that is, but Spider-Man can put them in post if he wants.
It's all good. I'm not stressing about it.
Yeah. I'm shy. He's Matt. That's really all you guys need to know.
This is the trickle up,
and this is the low, which is part of the trickle up.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's why you're the producer.
Right.
I'm just some guy who has a good take now and then.
Yeah. And tonight should be interesting because I am very well versed in the topics we're going to.
This is your arena. Yeah, this is your arena.
Yeah. So if you guys are like, yeah, Shy never says anything, just get ready. But on that note, okay, everyone, let's see if we can change some minds tonight. As a particularly passionate and anti-poverty individual, I've been looking forward to talking about the child tax credit payments on the low today. So it's July 15th. It marks the first day of the 6-month schedule for dispersing the advanced monthly payments of the child tax credit. According to the IRS, half of the total credit amount will be paid in advance monthly payments, and individuals will claim the other half when they file their 2021 income tax return. So there's that little loophole there that, like, technically, I think if you get overpaid, you might have to pay something back. So, double, triple check that all your boxes were correctly filled out when you signed up for the child tax credit. For the following months of the year, payments will be made on the 15th of each month, with the exception of next month, where the payments will be made August 13th. I'm not sure why they changed it for August. The payments will be at most $250 or $300, depending on how old the child is. And that's if you qualify for the full amount. So obviously some people's incomes, it will be slightly less. The maximum credit is available to taxpayers with a modified adjusted gross income of $75,000 if you filed single, $112,500 if you filed head of the household, and $150,000 if you filed as a married couple. In addition to cutting the number of children living in poverty in America in half, the child tax credit payments are expected to act as an economic boost or stimulus that will mainly be used for food, school supplies, and clothing. Big chain retailers that are expected to see increased profits from the child tax credit payments include Walmart, Target, and Costco. I didn't love that aspect of this story. Most American families will qualify for at least some amount of money from the payments, which I thought is great news, but it also means that most American families are living in a certain income bracket, and that's kind of disappointing. The payments dispersed today will be sent to nearly 39 million families and around 65 million kids. There is no limit on the number of children who can qualify. So if you have 1 kid or 8 kids or whatever your spiel is, which I think is kind of nice, because big families are expensive, and I don't think they should be villainized. And I think we do that too often in America. And I say that as someone who has but 1 child. The IRS will be using people's 2020 tax returns or 2019 if they haven't filed yet to determine who is eligible. And the IRS.gov website has provided a portal for anyone who needs to manage their child tax credit payments, so non-filers and just people with unique situations. This 6-month economic experiment will help families recover from the economic downfall still going on as a result of the global pandemic, and be a window into what a guaranteed or even universal basic income could do for Americans. Critics of the child tax credit payments highlight that it only cuts childhood poverty in half rather than eliminate it altogether. I'm one of those critics. I'm like, yeah, I don't understand why we would half-ass something like eliminating childhood poverty. And it does not address the much needed economic relief for those without children. While some argue that the payments will be especially helpful to women as they disproportionately make up the majority of single parents, the majority of women living in poverty do not have a dependent. The poverty rate for the demographic that consists of individuals who are between the ages of 18 and 64 and without children has yet to decline since the early 1990s. So there's a huge subset of the country that is just continuously living in poverty, and this new economic boost does nothing for them. Matt, what are your thoughts?
So to your point, that's kind of the bridge, right? Something like UBI would address that. Like would address everyone who's kind of not seen in some of these programs or tax credits, things of that nature. But my immediate thought was, goddamn, very well stated by you. Like laid it out pretty well to the point where even like I had a question like, oh, she's addressed it. I was like, oh, she just got addressed. So the biggest thing would be the money going back towards like businesses, things like that. It's part of the problem, right? So like, oh yeah, good for Walmart, who's also like the biggest employer in many states and things like that, right? And we know what they do to small businesses and things of that nature. So it's kind of mind blowing. I remember when I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. I want to talk about like again, not limiting half is a huge thing, especially given what happened this last year. All the people who are slipping into poverty, at risk of slipping into poverty, and it's not over, right? Because we know Republican states, especially, are starting to cut benefits, right? Things of that nature. So it's a really good start. This is a really good thing. But to your point, the criticism was like, why there?
Yeah, like 100%. Like if you know your plan doesn't actually do all like it, like why did it get greenlit? Right? Why is that the final draft? Like we have the means to eliminate it, not only for children but for everyone, and they're choosing not to. And that speaks volumes about why we, over the next 6 to 10 years, really need to vote in people who are anti-poverty.
And to that end, the people who are anti-poverty aren't the people who've been around, like, right? Because like it's not like poverty can't be addressed. It's not like there's like it's not like we don't like it's not like we don't know what can be done, right? Because we've seen examples in other areas of the world of things they've done, small scale things, stuff like that. We even had like pilot programs here in the U.S. and things like that we know can work. So, and I think one of the big things, to your point, is this is going to be a big stepping stone, as you brought up, because we're going to get some real data that you can't dismiss. So.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious for the viewers and people who will eventually be leaving comments, like, what is your take on the child tax credit payments? Like, obviously, like no one's going to come out and be like, I'm against these, because it's who wants to be anti-family. But I think that there are some fair criticisms that people can make. And I'm just genuinely curious how many people are like myself, where they're just like, yeah, this is amazing, and I fully endorse it, but like it should have been better, and it's not addressing everything.
That's staggering, though. Like, we're talking about, what, 40 million families?
Yeah.
39 million families. So, like, but that means that's the point, that how many more families are out there that, and that's the thing, that to me, it's just like, what determines who does and doesn't? Like, it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and it's missing some people if they know half of the children will still be left in poverty.
Yeah. So it's missing half the targeted demographic, and then there's still the large demographic that's not touched and has been at the same rate at minimum for 30 years now. So, yeah. And that's not going to get any better after last year. So,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and to that point, part of the reason that group is so it's concerning for them is that it's a lot harder to get government assistance, when you don't have a dependent. It's one reason that people can vilify like the welfare queen, like the single moms. Yeah. Like, which is obviously like a garbage take, but there is truth to the concept that, like, one, because of like a pride thing, I think people, when they're like single without kids, they're like, oh, government assistance, that's not for me. But also they just don't qualify, because our country is very pro-family, despite the world being overpopulated. And we need to do better.
I'm going to say, I don't think our country's pro-family at all. I don't think we're pro-family at all. I think we're like, we're like anti-family. I think this country is all about like dividing and making people leave the home, because then there's more consumers, more people out buying things. I think most things this country does is about actually removing people from the homes.
Interesting.
Just turning people into consumers. Weddings, everything's just like, family values is just projection.
Yeah, again, I think, that's, I was like, we like to pretend that we're pro.
Where do our elderly end up?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That statistic about like the poverty line that has not adjusted is not including the elderly, because they independently have their own unique poverty statistics.
We'd have to, maybe that's another segment we can do at some point, like specifically kind of focus on that, because it's something I've kind of been coming back to a lot recently. Is just like when analyzing capitalism versus communism, just in terms of like Soviet Union versus the US and the propaganda going back and forth, and they're this, it's like, look at how capitalism, at least this version of it here that we live in, treats its vulnerable, its young, its elderly, its veterans. We just said that there's what now, so like we're talking like over 100 million. Like how many people are like, so what was the number? I want to look this up so I don't get this wrong, but so on July 15th, the first payment from the new expanded child tax credit will be sent to some 39 million families with about 65 million kids. Like 65 million kids. 65 million kids, and that's half.
Yeah, that's because that's like 1 in 6 kids live in poverty in America, in the greatest country in the world.
The greatest country in the world. And this is what we do to our kids. So what would we do to a competing economic structure, dare I ask? Come on, man. So I think my final thoughts would be that this is a really good thing. To me, the biggest point is just we're going to get data, and data is so important. Obviously, the most important thing is going to actually help people in the moment, but not enough.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm just reading the comments to make sure that
oh shit,
there wasn't anything specific to highlight. But I agree with Ron. It's definitely a step in the right direction.
Hey guys, I was totally ignoring the comments. Hello to everybody. Had it in private chat. It's like it's a little quiet in here today. That's okay.
Yeah, and I like Grateful Sea Dog's take here, where it's like, yeah, it's tremendous, it's wonderful, but we want it for everyone, not just families. Yeah.
Not everyone thinks like that, though.
Yeah, and I would even go as far as saying, like, you know, if someone was like, hey, you have certain benefits that you're going to get, but you can have less benefits, but it means your neighbor's going to get them too, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, because like what's good for the community is good for all of us. And we can't, I don't like the idea of pitting people like myself who have a dependent against someone like you who does not have a dependent. Like that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
There should be a policy that benefits both of us.
I agree, but ideally, like it goes both ways too, right? Like, so like you don't want to like neglect someone in my situation. Let's say like you're not, single dude, right? But at the same time, like I understand like that's you got a kid, like, people got kids, like that's important. Like that's like, because again, like if you buy into like this idea that like, we're a society and like we're a country and like, we're all kind of like, something, right? Like the most important demographics are the kids, the young, like literally, like end of story. So like all of us should be like, it's like the whole, it takes community, man. Like everyone's got to be focusing on the young, man. Like it's like, I don't know. And then it goes back to what I'm saying, like this hyper ass individual society, divide and conquer. So that was POTUS. POTUS for Us had a really good video. It kind of, he connected those dots. I was like, keep hammering that point.
Yeah, and with that, I put the link to the portal for anyone who has questions about it.
You had a lot of good links in there, actually.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of anti-poverty. That's kind of my spiel. So I'm going to scroll down. So like this is the airtime that Spider-Man will cut away. The dead airspace.
Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Exactly. Ron Rose.
And so this is interesting because I feel like you have a little bit more of an inside window to the previous July 1st strike that I'm not going to have. So I want to hear your weigh in a lot about like why you didn't think that didn't work after I lay out what the plan is with the October 15th strike. which I've researched well. I've even reached out to some of the people who are behind it, and I was told that it's very anonymous. There are no leaders, and it's very decentralized. So
I like that.
I like that too. I'm like, I feel bad that we can't connect more one-on-one with them to just be like, yeah, what is this all about? But it definitely feels different than the July 1st one. And to that point, Matt and I have actually talked on the low before, to anyone watching right now. And so if you want to check out some of the older episodes about our take on like the July 1st, what happened, and what we predicted would happen, there are 2 other episodes on general strikes that we have. And I think Michael Patrick is part of one of them, and he's got some really good takes on it too. So, and to that note too, make sure you're subscribed, people.
Subscribe or else.
Yeah, and if you like us, we also are on youtube.com/mutethemedia. So I would also recommend subscribing to that as well. It's a personal goal of mine that we get that to 1,000 very soon. So.
We're getting there. And there's an important date coming up we got to get there for. So
100%. So to that, I'm going to take a drink of water because I have a lot to say here.
Yeah, we're about to jump into the next one.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're going to talk about the strike. And like I said, once I get done with my 400 word count spiel, I want to hear your take on it. And I want to hear a throwback to why it's different than the July 1st. Because like I said, you had a little bit more insider information on that one than I did. So. Okay, everyone, let's see if we can change some minds tonight. Last month, we discussed the planned general strike for July 1st, and a couple weeks ago, we discussed why we thought it didn't have the impact to make the national news. Recently emerged in the conversation of general strikes is the October 15th planned general strike. As detailed by the website octoberstrike.com, people are intending another possible strike. Reasons behind the strike include 0 requirements for paid time off for maternity leave, unemployment numbers, 71% of all global carbon emissions being linked to only 100 corporations, federal minimum wage stagnation, 40 million Americans being at or below the poverty line, big pharma extortions, and the average American being $90,000+ in debt just to afford necessities, basic necessities, like housing, food, clothes, education, and medical bills. The website states, and I quote, "This demonstration serves to show your company and your country as a whole that you deserve basic human rights. Your labor is a bargaining tool, and you are worth more than what society is offering you." I really endorse that statement. People don't realize the leverage we have. Goals hope to be achieved from the planned general strike include 25% corporate tax rate with no loopholes, free healthcare for all, 12 weeks paid paternity and maternity leave, $20 minimum wage, and a 4-day work week, as well as stricter environmental regulations on corporations, including bans on single-use and microplastics and limited emissions. Organizers of the strike, as I mentioned before, were fairly anonymous and decentralized. And they are asking that if someone supports any of these goals or all of them, to stand in solidarity and take work off on October 15th. Encouraged involvement in the strike includes abstaining from going to work, as well as not participating in economic activity starting October 15th. I noted it that on their website they said starting, and I thought, that's a little ambitious to imply that it could be more than one day. They also tell people to contact their local representatives to express demands. I also endorse that. And inform others about the strike. And they have a petition, and last time I looked, it was almost at 4,000 signatures. And I looked right before we went live. The website provides resources to those who would like to participate but are concerned about being fired, and recommend people contact the National Labor Relations Board to find out more. With 91 days left before the planned general strike, what are the concerns for October 15th? And will it be a repeat of July 1st? Matt, what's your take?
So we kind of it was weird. I don't really even know how it happened, but somehow a few of us got kind of invited into kind of discussion about how we're going to try and make that July 1st thing happen. And the problem was, I think from the beginning, was the list of demands. And the reason behind the list of demands. There was this idea that we had to have this wide encompassing list of things that could get everybody, like something that everybody wanted. But like you're that's because the problem is, first, the list of demands, it included things like the Green New Deal. And while this mentions environment, right, there's a way to kind of go about that without throwing things that are already poison terms, and they're just going to make your movement seem partisan to begin with, because this has to be a nonpartisan thing, right? Because this is a nonpartisan thing. So to that end, they didn't give any reasonable demands, it seemed like, and that's a really important thing when you're trying to engage in a action that's going to try and get some kind of response from them. Because if you give them something reasonable, something that they can actually accomplish, and they don't do it, that you have to take the next step. Okay, we have to do more now. If they give it to you, okay, we might have found something that we can replicate if we need, more and more, right? So if you don't even give them that, you can't gauge how they're taking you as a movement, right? You need to understand how they view you to begin with. And if you don't give them any like concrete action to work with, it's easy for them to just dismiss you as unreasonable. And when you come across as unreasonable, people don't want to be attached to that because it's unreasonable. Like, it just was unreasonable to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. I was like, when I saw their list of demands, I was like, this is like a refined, better messaged, I don't want to say list, but I'm just like, yeah, it's more doable. It's more reasonable. And like, at some point, if you just make demands that can't be met, you'll never use your leverage like appropriately. And like, this to me seems like a very calculated list, and I respect that.
And to your point about earlier, the decentral, because what ended up happening with that group, they went like private, and like, it's just like they went full like authoritarian mode for what's supposed to be a class conscious labor movement, right? So there's something to be said. This kind of just, sometimes it's the right time, right? So I think with people actually being to feel or see the impact of some of the policy shifts in Republican states and things of that nature, I think part of it too, I'm not kidding, I think with some of the media framing and some of the bullshit going on with AMC, the stocks, things like that, people kind of just seeing Wall Street really being fully exposed, man. We're really seeing all the pieces tied together, who's back there, right? Coming out the pandemic, the polarization in politics, right, the tension, that climate, I think people are just more ready than they've ever been to actually do something that might kind of shake the system, because they're feeling the pinch. People are really feeling the pinch finally, at that big enough number, right? It's always a tipping point number. So I'm going to do everything I can to push this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I fully endorse anyone who is in the position to not go into work to that day. And I, for one, have no intention of doing, I should like double check it's not a Thursday, just to make sure I can give voice notice that I won't be able to be here. But yeah, I fully endorse not doing any kind of economic activity that day. And that's the patron strike is like, stop putting so much on workers. Don't put so much pressure on workers. Like, the patrons outnumber them. And so as patrons, we have more power to make an impact that will make corporate America scared. And corporate America and the people who pass our laws are very friendly with one another.
They are. And I'd argue it might even be even more on the patrons to some extent, because I know this is not the message you want to send to it, and I know, but not everyone's in a position to be able to not go to work. Frankly, they're just 100%. Not going to be, right?
100%.
We're all in position to not spend money.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like, essentials that you need, but like, just get your groceries on the 14th. Just get your essentials on the 14th. Like, yeah, like stand in solidarity. It's not about workers walking out. It's about standing in solidarity with workers. Don't go to any fast food that day. Don't go to anywhere that day, unless you just go to work, because like, no one gets fired because they show up to work and then no one comes for the like, no grocers getting fired because no one came to the grocery store.
Exactly. It's just something that's accomplishable. This is not like, it's funny. This is not crazy. Like, this is not a difficult thing to do. It's literally not a fucking difficult thing to do. And I don't know if that's like me being privileged or something, but I don't think it's difficult to just not spend money for a day. Like, I don't know.
No, I 100%, like, if nothing else, your takeaway from this segment shouldn't just be like, oh, I wish the workers luck. It should be like, what can I do? And it's the easiest thing. You just don't stimulate the economy that day, and they will feel it. The right people will feel it, and they'll know that we need to make change. So let us know in the chat or comments what's your plan for October 15th, people.
And until October 15th, here's what you can do. Look at those listed demands, right? And so, for example, a $20 minimum wage. Look at wage stagnation relative to consumer prices and things like that. Understand the reasoning behind the demands yourself, so you can go and have these conversations with people and explain to them why we need these things and why we're asking for these things. It's not just people, these aren't just things being thrown out there for no reason, right? There's really sound arguments behind this, all right? The environmental aspect, right? We can look at some of the policies that have been, like look at some of the rhetoric that's been aimed towards people, right? Things that we can do as individuals, which fair, totally fair. But it's government and industries and corporations, which are the major problem when it comes to the environment. It's not someone going to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So miss me with that. So like, just become more well-versed in why these demands are there, and have these conversations with people in your personal life, and boost these messages online. It's got to be both. So.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to see what people said in the comments. I think a lot of it's just this one guy who's like ragging on you. But shout out to Vaughn, who was like, yeah, I will definitely be down to do a no spending day. Right on, man. Right on. And I think Boyce said that he would cover if it's a day that I'm supposed to be there. So I appreciate it. Like, I was like, you could just not do the trickle up that day, man. But I'm, well, that's your prerogative. So.
Like, my ass ain't gonna be on TikTok that day.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. You don't have to hire me, Grateful Sea Dog. I'll just yeah, we're friends. I'll just remind you, like on the 14th.
We're friends.
Hey, yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. I got your back. I don't need you to. But I appreciate the offer. I would make an exceptional personal assistant, just for anyone who's curious.
Yeah, AgroLib, I heard it. But it's not no use for names. It was change the system. A big veggie plant, a capitalist who was actually infiltrate.
Yeah, I don't know if Boyce is in this inside joke. Boyce, you can just have Spider-Man cut this whole part out. It's just getting weird. But on that note, if y'all want to follow us on TikTok, it's a riot over there. Mute the Media 3.0 and I did that backwards. Mute the Media 3.0 and Cheyanne for UBI, and it's the number 4.
I think that's actually a good segue into the.
That is a perfect segue. Okay, I also have. In fact, I didn't even bullet point this one because it was just too late. It was like 4 a.m. when I got done with these articles. So, I got to do the. Let's see if we can change some minds. But you can see how much I'm going to talk. Do you want to interject in any of those paragraphs to like go back and forth? Or you want to just wait till the end?
Do your thing. Okay. Do your thing, Emily. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, everyone, let's see if we can change some minds tonight. This week, the popular social media and video sharing app TikTok hit a critical milestone that previously had only been achieved by Facebook. TikTok has been downloaded more than 3 billion times. Now, this doesn't include game apps, but as far as non-game apps go, at this point, the only one else to have hit that milestone is Facebook or other apps that have something to do with Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger. Monthly active users for the two apps, Facebook and TikTok, are hardly comparable. While TikTok has 732 million monthly active users, Facebook has 2.85 billion. So it's kind of interesting that TikTok is now past that milestone. And I'm kind of curious, like, if it's just going to continue to grow the monthly active users. But I'm also kind of curious if those monthly active users are actual people. TikTok's popularity rose during the pandemic as more people found themselves at home during lockdowns around the globe. Not so much in America because we never really did a proper lockdown. The app has not been without some recent controversy. One bug that was brought to light by content creator Ziggy Tyler was that TikTok's creator marketplace was flagging phrases like Black Lives Matter, supporting Black people, supporting Black voices, and supporting Black success as inappropriate content. However, the phrases supporting white supremacy and I am a neo-Nazi, I really hope no one ever takes that out of context, and I am an anti-Semitic, again, I really hope no one takes that out of context, was not flagged as inappropriate. Insider reported that the company spokesperson, a company spokesperson, apologized for the significant error and said that what that creator was seeing was the result of an automatic filter set to block words associated with hate speech. So that's a pretty embarrassing bug if you're trying to convince people that your app isn't, it doesn't have an intended agenda.
I'm going to pause you real quick. Can you say that one more time for me? The part where significant error. Can you just, because this is important. Can you run that for me one more time, if you wouldn't mind?
Of course, yeah. A company spokesperson for TikTok apologized for the significant error and said that creator was seeing, what they were seeing was a result of an automatic filter set to block words associated with hate speech, which is the most ironic statement considering it was not flagging neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic, and white supremacy.
The fucking definition of hate speech here in America. But the movements against it got flagged. Isn't that incredible? Yeah, that's fucking horseshit.
Yeah, that I
not
was like,
pardon the language.
Yeah, that bug, to call it a bug to me is just like I don't think that's what's happening.
Disingenuous as fuck. It's trash. They know exactly what the fuck is happening. They know very goddamn well that conservative bullshit and hate like that travels fast. Yes, the truth does not travel as fast.
Yeah, and it's kind of, speaking of irony, it's kind of ironic that conservatives are so big on TikTok, because you may remember that former, and I really want to emphasize former for anyone watching and may be confused, but former President Trump attempted to ban TikTok. And so the fact that there's a high number of users that are questioning the election, questioning vaccine science, and still supporting him, despite him being the former, and again, I want to emphasize former president. Yeah, there's a lot of irony with this app.
We should give them back Parler.
There you go. Yeah, I was like, I'd hate to think that TikTok is the next Parler. And I feel like if we don't want that to happen, non-Parler-esque content creators should just keep flooding the ether with appropriate content. But to that point, I need to find my spot here in my notes, guys. There's a surprisingly high number of users that are spreading misinformation on the integrity of the election, the integrity and the results of the election, as well as dangerous information about the COVID-19 pandemic and the vaccine. This is really interesting to me and kind of horrifying at the same time. One viral audio that stated, and here's a quote, "You're telling me in 40 years of research, there's no vaccine for HIV, for cancer, no vaccine, the common cold, no vaccine. Yet in 1 year, we've developed a vaccine for COVID-19, and you want me to take that? Thanks, but no thanks." That was used in more than 4,500 videos and viewed more than 16 million times. So in some of these areas where we have low vaccination rates, and because people are, concerned about new technology that comes with the or medical advances. I won't say technology. I don't want anyone to think there's a chip in the vaccine. With new medical advancements.
It is new tech, though. It's get over yourselves, you dumb shit stains.
Yeah, there's I would say it nicer than Matt just did, but that's horrifying. 16 million times that people, and there's no science behind what the individual stated, and it's just people using that audio over and over and over again. And if you say something 3 times, people are likely to believe it. So if you want someone to believe a lie, say it 3 times. So someone says it 16 million times, that is horrifying.
That's the point, though. Their shit moves so goddamn fast. This is not just me shooting from the hip. We know that misinformation, disinformation, especially of the right wing flavor, it moves fast on social media. That is what we're up against. Figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. And so Also, something that's kind of controversial about TikTok is that there is disproportionately, it seems to be a lot of bans within the people not spreading the misinformation about the vaccine in elections. And this can be attributed to banning services where you actually pay people to mass report, which is possible because of a significant number of users being pro-cancel culture with anti-science and hateful rhetoric that is against, left-leaning creators or just people in general for like basic human decency. They're being targeted with mass reporting. Additionally, some creators, especially in the Black community, are boycotting TikTok or striking essentially, because there's just too much stolen content and cultural appropriation. And there is a concern of bots that TikTok is going to become the new Twitter, and that bots are also attributing to the mass banning services. And I'm gonna let Matt his own personal. What's your personal take on like good people getting banned? Do you got any personal experience with that?
You want my personal experience on TikTok bans? So I jumped on this little app 5 months ago. I was like, "Oh, what's this?" Right? And we were pushing a pretty good message, man. We were talking about trying to bring equality to an injustice society, right? An unjust society, however the fuck you want to say it. And got to 90K. But here's the thing, like people with millions of followers, like I Speak was at 1.3, he got taken down. People with hundreds of thousands of followers, people with thousands of followers, people with hundreds of followers. It really doesn't matter because there's lots of people who are sending the same message I am to some extent, who are just trying to think beyond themselves. And apparently TikTok doesn't like that very much. And it gets worse and worse, man. So for example, like, let's put it this way. So right now, 3.0 is up, right? It's been down now for what, 9 days, 10 days. I haven't been able to post in all that time, obviously, right? It went down. The day I woke up, it went down because there were 6 videos that had been reported, and 6 videos had gone down for content violations. Over that time, all 6 won, all right? But while I was down for a content violation, another video from like weeks ago had been flagged, which counts as another strike, which means a repeated strike, which means an extended ban, right? So after all those got cleaned up, I thought it was going to be in the clear after the 7-day one ended. 29 minutes without even posting, doing anything. Repeated violations, 7-day ban. How is that possible? How is that fucking possible? It's not possible because I literally haven't even done anything on the page. Shit, it's not possible. So
no, I know how it's possible. It's coordinated because you're on someone's shit list, Matt.
Oh, there it is. And whose shit list could that be? The people who hate cancel culture, who literally have a list of all these creators and who they literally just on repeat go and just report their actual page. And they go through all their videos and report all their videos because the dipshit Republicans who scream cancel culture love to cancel things. That's what slavery was. That's what Jim Crow was. That's why women couldn't vote, right? There's a whole list of things we can talk about, real, actual life canceling. But you projecting little infantile pieces of shit are it's crazy. Republicans can get bent. And that's why all you liberals out there, including like Boyce and people like that, if you're still playing nice with Republicans, part of the problem.
And yeah, I just want to point out that Matt has personally called out the creator of the Trickle Up, and that I don't necessarily endorse everything he said. And I hope we get invited back next Thursday, Boyce.
I call out, I shouldn't have done. I picked out Boyce on purpose though, because like Boyce is a big boy, so he can handle it.
Yeah, I'm sure he agreed with like 99% of your statement there. And I'm not sure if he's still tuned in, and I'm just eyeballing the comments to see if that's the case. But speaking of comments, for anyone watching in the chat, I'm kind of curious. Like, do you guys think TikTok is a sinking ship, or do you think we should stick around to try and dispel the misinformation that's going around? Oh, see, the Trickle Up just said I love it, so he endorsed everything you said.
Boyce has thick skin. That's a big boy. What do you think, Shy? On your question, do you have a thought on that?
Oh, I say, bring it. I say, try to find a reason to cancel this. Like I dare you. I'm like, no, I strongly believe that. I'm like, no, we gotta flood that ether with the right kind of content, the correct kind of content.
I think that's the resist for humanity take. Nah, like when people's like saying like, "Oh, I get away from it, I unplug." No, like plug in, take it back over. Like we have the numbers, and they know that, right? Look at the popular vote. The last 7 to 8, we've won, right? We account for more GDP, right? We have more, like we should have more representation within Congress, things like that, right? We know the numbers. They know the numbers. That's why they're reacting like this. So why don't we show them what we can actually do, like as a collective, if we were to all act? Which goes back to the general strike, right? Which is going to take everyone, frankly. Which goes back to this battle on social media, which is ground zero of the new like wars, what I'm gonna call it, quote unquote, because in this like new like society that we live in right now, it doesn't look like what like it used to look like, right? Communication is completely different. We can connect with people. This is a tired line, but I'm gonna keep repeating it every time because it's vital that we understand this. We couldn't have had conversations like this even like 20 years ago, really. All right, we couldn't have done this. We couldn't have. Me and Shy could never met. I could never met Boyce. I could never have met some of the people in here. This gives us an amazing fucking tool. Look at what's happened in the Middle East to some extent with the Arab Springs about a decade ago and things like that, right? People were able to see beyond their sphere. They were able to connect with people beyond their sphere, and they were able to have different conversations that kind of changed up their echo chamber, right? So, of course, you can create your echo chamber on here if you want to, right? You can do that anywhere in life. But this is an amazing tool if we utilize it, and we can. That's what. So to that point, I'm saying, dive into it. Dive into TikTok. Dive into Twitter. Dive into Facebook. It can't be only social media. You got to have these conversations with your friends, family members, peers, coworkers, teammates. So
yeah, that kind of counters what you told Boyce a second ago, and being like, you gotta separate yourself from the bad takes that are coming from some Republicans and some conservatives. But in the same way, we don't leave TikTok, we don't leave some of those conversations. For anyone who's, reasonable.
There's a difference between confrontation and conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a difference between dialoguing with people who you know you can't actually dialogue with and just making sure you don't concede space to them in an arena, is what I would argue.
Yeah, I didn't have this in my bingo card because Grateful Sea Dog's like really awesome. And I was like, I wouldn't have guessed that you would send nasty emails. But like,
I support that. Everyone should be sending messages. That's helped some people. So some people have been taken down. A lot of their followers just sent emails to community management, things like that. There's a few different ones to do. And it helps because in the end, like TikTok doesn't like, don't get me wrong, like they have an agenda, but they do in the end, they want engagement. And they do know that people drive engagement. So it's a weird little line they're trying to walk right now.
Yeah, I endorse this. I endorse this 100%. And I think people are skeptical because they want it immediately. And I'm like, yeah, no, we don't get it day one. But like, if we start working towards this, for sure, we have the numbers to overwhelm the disinformation and overwhelm the hateful rhetoric.
People got to be willing to like step into it, man. Like believe me, dude, I get it. Every single day of my life, I'm having some kind of contentious conversation with someone about this shit, and it is emotionally like it's tiring, but it is not as tiring as the existence and the like experience that some people have to deal with in this country. The conversations I'm having are just conversations for me. This is some people's lived experience. So if I'm tired, imagine how tired some demographics are in this country, and that should give you some energy if you have empathy.
Sorry, I was distracted by the birds because I thought we were in a Disney movie for a second. But yeah, to that point, TikTok, we're not going anywhere. So bring on the bans. We've already got 4.0 and 5.0 up. And again, everyone, make sure you're subscribed to Mute the Media 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0. Or follow, not subscribe. And follow Cheyanne for UBI. And definitely subscribe to the Trickle Up and then youtube.com/mute the media.
That's back-to-back good takes by the Trickle Up themselves. We have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, difficult conversations. 100%. Doing the right thing is going to step on some people's toes sometimes because not everybody wants to do the right thing. We're not a monolith as a species. So
yeah, and I don't think people realize the leverage that we have as a collective. And there's a lot of really awesome content creators on TikTok. And once, actually, you know what, Spider-Man, make this part of the segment. This should be included because we're talking about epic content creators on TikTok. And I would also say that they are epic on Twitter as well. In fact, they normalized making video responses, like way before any of us ever did that. So to that point, I would like to shout out, I'm going to actually share my screen here. I had to make sure that there's nothing on the screen that's, you know, giving away personal information. Oh, maybe I can just share the tab. Okay, Spider-Man, you can cut this part out. I'm sorry, it's taking me so long to make this jump cut. I've got too many tabs open for multitasking as like somewhat of a producer over here. So I want to shout out District 12 Kitty. They are the epitome of amazing. I could ramble on and on at how epic their takes are, and just they're personally one of the reasons that I'm here and just being engaged in social media in general, just because they were like, saw value in what I had to say in tweets and were like, I'm going to make you part of a group chat, and then you're going to feel like you belong and you're going to be validated for what you're doing. And yeah, it's it really snowballed into something pretty awesome, Kitty. So thank you for that. And I'm going to put in the chat a GoFundMe that District 12 Kitty has, because not unlike so many Americans, they're just up against odds that are completely out of their own, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, Matt, their own personal circumstances. The
system meant to help people in these positions is not helping people in these positions. And when they have nowhere left to turn, that's where people come, like community comes into play, right? Like we should like ideally it wouldn't have to be at this point, right? Like, because again, like I don't want to like go specifically and tell someone's story. It's like, you know, but like basically, like if they're supposed to be,
yeah, like yeah,
you know, like
yeah, your takeaway from this pitch from Matt and I is just that Kitty is the epitome of, like I said, awesome. And I've heard other content creators who have said that their Twitter activity is the reason that they're doing what they're doing now too. So to say that they're inspirational would be an understatement. And they're super anti-poverty, which obviously I'm all for that.
What did she do just like 3 days ago on Twitter?
A lot of things. I don't know what specifically.
She got let's get like the hashtag monthly stimulus checks. She got something trending on Twitter by herself, man. Literally, it was I woke up in the morning pretty early and I see Kitty going ham in a couple of our group chats. I see her Twitter feeds going, and she's telling people, man, let's get it. Like we gotta get this trending. Like let's do it. And so I was like, fuck, let's get it. Like Shy was in it. She's like, let's do it. So people started rallying. Like that's leadership. She's a leader, man. Like she's a leader. So
yeah, and to that point, Matt is fairly new to Twitter. Kitty's been doing that shit for like the over a year. Like Kitty is known for the Twitter trend, organizing the Twitter twins for sure.
And that's important. If you think like online activism doesn't matter, you're wrong. And let me tell you why. There's the Iranian resistance, who's lost hundreds of thousands of people at this point, right, to the Iranian regime, brutal dictatorship. One of the most important, effective things we do is online activism. When it comes to like actual demonstrations we're holding and things like that, there's a social media group which is working to amplify the message. So if you don't think that's important, or you just dismiss it as like, oh, like just people playing around on social media, you don't understand the power of the tool we have at our disposal right now. You don't get it, and you're stuck in a past paradigm still.
I'm just putting the thing down in the chat again so that it's easier for people to find. But yeah, that's it's our hour's almost up, everyone. We'll hang out for like a couple more minutes and make sure y'all don't have any comments or questions. But yeah, that's our weekly whatever you want to call this, Matt. That's our weekly spiel.
It's the spiel. It was our appearance on the low here at the Trickle Up. Yeah, let's do.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and if you like us, you should also check us out on youtube.com/meetthemedia.
And make sure to tune in Sundays They're doing panel discussions Mondays. The plan here at the Trickle Up. Sundays the Trickle Up. I think they have something on works for Tuesdays now, right? It's the goal.
And in the not too distant future, yeah. So like it's
there's big things coming here at the Trickle Up, guys. So share, stay tuned yourselves. Appreciate you guys who are here right now. And then of course, just last thing I say is if you can, please consider that GoFundMe link, and if you can't, please share it with people. So
yeah, exactly. Like no one should be ashamed if they can't actually contribute money, because just sharing Kitty's GoFundMe is immensely helpful. And again, people don't realize the leverage they have as a collective. And if everyone who saw this, or everyone who saw Kitty's tweets, shared it, it would be the money would be there overnight. It's just a matter of us tapping into the leverage we have to stand in solidarity with one another.
Facts. Let's see.
Just gonna make sure Boyce doesn't have any more notes for us.
Yeah.
I like how he's like, I'm gonna take the night off, and then he spends the whole
hangs
night.
Out with us.
Spends the whole night. I was like, does he not? At this point, like, dude, you gotta trust us at some time.
He's doing multiple though, probably. I think he probably just enjoys. He's a political junkie and stuff, man. He just wants to. He probably wished he'd be part of the convo in some sense.
Yeah, and to be fair, he does timestamp stuff for Spider-Man. Yeah,
he's doing a lot, man. Boy's got a lot going on. Fam bam, work, all the Trickle Up, mindful skeptic stuff he's doing. So
yeah, and you can follow Boyce on TikTok at Mindful Skeptics and the Trickle Up. And the Trickle Up has some really funny bloopers.
It does.
Yeah, that it's only a matter. I was like, I think Spider-Man really likes me, so like I don't think I'm at too much risk right now. But I'm sure a day will come where like he takes something out of context, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Also follow the Trickle Up on Instagram. That's all I've got for myself for today.
Yeah. At this point, we're just eating up storage for Boyce, so we should wrap it up.
So we'll give it about a minute if anyone has a last little zinger. If not, appreciate you guys all being here. We'll be here next Thursday. Make sure you tune in Sunday night for the Trickle Up, and I'm sure Boyce will keep other people up to date if there's other plans.
You're making the editing harder for Spider-Man. Not that I think this segment will be part of it, but I was like, yeah, that you're making it so he'll have to like split and then mute and then split again
with my little like.
Yeah, I'm just like the video editor in me is like, oh, maybe I should tell Matt that like when you make weird sounds, it makes it where you have to like try and edit the sound just because.
I just figured we were done. I figured we were donezo at this point. Like
like I said, I don't think this part makes it, but yeah.
Sorry, dude, my bad.
I was like, now you're definitely gonna get a blooper again. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week.